Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide with your host, Mariana Cooper, founder of Aha Moments International and AhaMomentsWorld.com. Tune in for the next hour and learn to trust your aha moments to lead the way to live a passionate and purposeful life. And now here's your host, Mari.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari. Happy Tuesday, and here we are once again. There's so much going on. It's unbelievable. So today we're going to talk about something that is really, really, really important, and that is your own personal self-care. And when I was putting the show together, there were several titles that kind of ran through my mind. One was, is it selfish to do self-care? And I decided not to name the show that, but I want to talk about that today because I think that there's a lot of crisscrossing emotions going on right now, and people are really, really stressed out and really pulled to the max. And there's a lot of reasons. So we're going to talk about there's all types of self-care, right? There's all different categories. There's physical, there's mental, there's emotional, but there's also energetic. And that's actually the most important one because it's the one that's most forgotten, but it's the most powerful of all four. And so your energy always leads everything. Energy dictates the circumstances around you. Your energy can dictate outcomes of things. And even though we're going through some really pretty hefty throttling forward with everything going on politically and, in the world and all the different events that are happening, still have the power to rise up and the power to stand in our own truth and with our own inner voice leading the way. And you can't really even hear your own voice if you're not taking care of your energy. You can't really discern what that voice is through fear and anxiety, which is mental, stress and the emotional stress and the physical stress. The body starts to, if you don't give expression to those other voices, if you don't manage your energy and you don't give expression to your own inner voice and you're trying to hide or squelch it or, slow everything down or, whatever you're doing, you're going into avoidance, catastrophic thinking, all these different things. What you will do is overload your emotions, overload your mental state, and then that trickles down to your body. So if you were going to do a food chain, you'd have your body at the bottom and then your mental and emotional, mental is next, and then your emotions, because they kind of straddle both worlds, and then because your emotions are your octane, your emotions are your fuel for manifestation, and then your energetics, right? So your frequency, call it frequency energy, what I'm going to refer to as frequency today. So it's frequency, emotions, mental state of mind, and then physicality, okay, your physical body. And your energy dictates everything that happens in those lower rungs because it flavors everything, okay? And those lower rungs respond by reflecting what's going on in your energy. If you're not managing your energy and frequency and you're not taking care of it, and we'll talk about some ways to do that, you will then start to reverse your focus. So your focus will go down into the pit, the physical and the emotional, the mental, the emotional, and let's just say it'll go down to the pit of the physical and the mental, okay? And you'll start to look at circumstances and react, and look at circumstances and react, and look at circumstances and react. And you know what that does to your frequency? It jams it up, because now you're flavoring your frequency with reaction to circumstances, and because you're not managing and taking care of that frequency, the frequency now has to cannibalize itself and give you more readout of catastrophes and drama and trauma and all that. So today I wanted to do this show on energetic self-care because more so than ever before, it is important to, first of all, recognize that your frequency is dictating everything, and secondly, to recognize to understand how to incorporate taking care of yourself on that level. I can tell you from personal experience with many, my advanced clients, that when you start to do this type of work and take care of that frequency, you will, it exponentially speeds things up for you and outcomes really do shift. And I noticed myself that as I look at the news, with all the Facebook stuff, blah, 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 on those days when I'm really down in the pit of it and I'm really, just being a regular human being and reacting, it's like the headlines get worse and worse and worse. And as soon as I call it popping a wheelie in my frequency where I pivot, I say, okay, nope, I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go practice dancing, or I might, go out to the beach or do something, take a hot salt bath or journal or, do something creative. I will pop that wheel in my frequency, and then when I look again at the headlines, then all of a sudden you see a few coming in that are softer, things where there might be a solution for this, or there's a heartwarming story for that, or there's an about face and a decision over there, or somebody is, representing who we didn't know would represent, but something softened, and that's because my frequency shifted, so then your environment shifts. Now, can you completely override every single thing that's going on in the collective group consciousness? Technically you can, but most of us aren't at that point. But we can certainly influence how it affects our world. And you can be an observer of what's happening and be in it but not of it. And that's kind of having energetic boundaries, which we've talked about on other shows, where you just have to pick and choose what you're going to react to, right? What you're going to invest energy into. Remember that whenever you are always, and this I think is the biggest point of this call today, of this show today, is, and this is something I have to recall for myself. Okay, this is why I never have to do anything I haven't done myself, but this is how I've had to manage myself, over these last many weeks. But most recently, and that is you have to continue to maintain your own power. And when we fly high above all of this stuff that's going on, the overarching message is that when the majority of us are in our own power, and the majority of us have taken hold of our energetic power, and then trickling down to emotional and mental and physical, when the majority of the masses have tripped over into higher frequency, taking their power back, honoring their own voice, standing in that power, standing in their light, the catalyst for chaos will dissolve. There will not be a need to throttle us through, like jamming our heads through a little tiny keyhole, like what's happening now with so many villains all acting simultaneously. The reason why there's so many villains all acting simultaneously because there's so many masses that need to wake up and need to step into a frequency-based, perspective and state of being. And they may not be able to articulate it the way I articulate it, but the point is that this is a massive thrust for forward progression on the planet, period. It really is. And once we get to that point, of balance within each individual, there'll be a certain number, and once a majority, not everybody, but enough, and then this stuff will smooth out. Okay, so it's not a partisan thing, it's not a political thing. I'm not going off on presidents or anything like that. I'm just saying when we fly above it, we are you look down into it. You're picking your power, and you're holding your power, and that's your best tool, okay? And that's what the higher energies are looking for, is that, because we have all kinds of new capacities and energies that we have access to, but, there's also energetic responsibility. And as we can see, when we give people power who don't know what they're doing, things can go kind of crazy. So from an energetic perspective, when I was sitting and feeling really kind of disempowered and saying, oh my gosh, this is out of control, what's happening? Everybody, including myself, wants a psychic reading. We want somebody to say it's all going to be better. Everybody's looking for that big parent in the sky, like it's going to be better. Like what about the government? What about the sun? What about whatever? And we're all kind of looking for that reassurance. And this time, the reassurance has to come from within yourself. It has to come from how you are going to metabolize your energy and manage your energy, and most importantly, recognize and grab onto and embrace and then wield your own personal power. And you've got way more power than you ever think, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Okay, and then when I asked my guys, should I just walk away from this business? Should I walk away from the radio show? What should I, what am I even doing it? And they said, nope. What you're here to do is lead people back to their point of power. And when they find that, all of this, because as fast as it's flared up, as fast as it can go away. All right? So let's talk a little bit about self-care. A lot of us think of self-care as being able to take some sort of luxurious time out. And quite frankly, that's nice, but that doesn't really register as self-care. That registers as a holiday. What we're talking about is ongoing maintenance, self-maintenance. And just like you take a daily shower and it's a no-brainer, kind of like, unless you're a new mom, then it is a brainer. That's where you have to figure out how to fit it in. But, washing your hair, doing basic hygiene, that's pretty operationalized in your life. And then, of course, your mental state of mind drives you crazy, so you try to manage that just because, or not. A lot of people turn to wine and alcohol and, drugs, things like that to numb out, which really doesn't help anything. And then we have our emotions. And those kind of, if you're not managing yourself, those can run rickshod. And what's interesting about emotions is that they are the lighter fluid for whatever's going on. They're the lighter fluid for what's happening for you energetically and which direction that takes and what actually sticks and shows up in your circumstances. And emotions also influence your physicality. So they swing back and forth between the frequency side and the physical side. So it's important to be able to identify emotions that you have and then and to manage them, and to start to use them for your highest good as opposed to using them against you. Emotions are like, happy, sad, angry, that type of thing. Mental stuff is anxiety, numbness, like that, right? So stress, worry, that's the mental stuff. The emotional stuff, happy, sad, loving, okay, joyful, blissful, okay, angry, those emotions, all right? Those are your emotions. So whatever you are doing to take care of yourself, recognize whatever you are having in your circumstances, they're all neutral because they're just a readout of where your frequency is at. And when you fly in, when you apply emotion to it, it'll make it go one direction or the other. So if you look at a situation, and this is probably jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm going to say it because it came to mind. If you look at a situation that looks really sad or dire, and you get angry about it, and you send anger from a frequency perspective to that situation, sometimes, depending on how that anger is wielded, it can be a point of power, right? Because you have people who are saying, I am angry because you are out of bounds. You are invading the boundaries of other people, and it's not legal and it's not okay. So that anger actually is registering on the grid as well. and compassion and empathy. So that anger is a positive emotion that can ignite positive circumstance, even though it's the angry point of view, right? The angry emotion. You can also have anger going the other way, where you resist and you react and you're aggressive. And then that takes the energy down into a negative. Whether it's negative or positive, the emotion amplifies. However, that emotion is being sent with whatever intention is being sent with. So if you're looking at something and saying, oh, hell no. I was silent. I was trying to ignore this. I was hoping it would blow over. But, oh, no, this is not okay. That thing that gets to you, that gets underneath your craw, that just you can't ignore that because everybody's got one. You just can't ignore it. And there you are, boom, 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 saying it out on Facebook, running to a protest or whatever. You know, that anger is now actually positive fuel because it's a flavor of love. Okay, and love, of course, is the strongest emotion. So if a lot of people, I hear them, this drives me crazy too. Love can be used in, very effective ways and ineffective ways. And what do you mean by that? There are some people that look at these big things that are going on, and they are, in order to placate, in order to diffuse, because they're uncomfortable with the emotions that they're seeing, they say, oh, you just love each other. It's all about love. Love is like love. But they're not. But the intention isn't really from a place of the power of love. It's from a place of, I don't want you to express yourself. I don't want to see all of this power being wielded on either side. So I'm just going to placate you with these words. So they're empty, and it makes people really pissed off. And so, because it's not coming from a genuine intention. Whereas you have other people who will say, I'm sending love to the situation, and I'm going to see, because I understand how my energy influences the circumstance, I'm going to see this through the eyes of love. I'm going to put Jesus over top, or God, or my own feelings of potent positive energy, and just I'm choosing to see this working out for the highest and greatest good and the safety for all, and I'm sending this from that place, but it's a place from love, from a place of power versus these words, love from a place of disempowerment, because they want to hide. Okay, so if you want to see everything in your circumstances change and shift, and get into the higher register parallel, and actually get into the parallels where the masses are on board and we're all moving forward, it's now time to start to manage your energy. And just by you tuning into this show and us having this, the beginning of these conversations, you are already consciously letting your higher self know, I'm on board. Okay, show me. Show me what I need to know about my own energetic self-care. I get that. That makes sense. I see the hierarchy. That makes sense. Okay, talk to me more about energy. Talk to me about how this can influence. Talk to me about how I can get to the other side of all these calamities that are going on that feel so out of control. Remember, your power, your personal power, is the most important. I'm not talking about wielding power in an aggressive way and invading other people's boundaries and freedoms and all that. I'm talking about, because people get afraid of the word power, I'm talking about your own inner voice, your own intuitive connection, your own energetic connection, your recognition of how to fly high over situations, your ability to speak with your guides, your ability to use your energetic communication system in an empowered and conscious way. That's energetic self-empowerment, okay? That's the power we're talking about. And when you can employ that, and your energetic communication system includes your intuition, which is the language that we use that flows between the energetic and the physical. It includes your telepathy, your ability to non-verbally speak with others and send messages and receive messages from others. your ability to channel, which is to be able to receive information from energies that are not in a body, whereas telepathy is receiving information from energies that are in a body. We all have telepathic capacities and abilities. We even have it with our animals. We even have it with the weather. Well, channeling is more the weather, but still, that's a whole other show. And in your intuitive senses, okay? So you have these energetic communication systems. They all work together. If you get my book, The Aha Factor, it's all in there. I'm not going to go into it. Most of you know about the book or have the book or whatever, but, you know, it's an Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You know, you can get your hands on it if you're really interested in getting down into the depths of this. But the reason why I'm saying this is that your willingness to get out of the selfish position and into a more of a global position. And when I say selfish position, people say, oh, well, I don't care about, you know, the ratings part. I don't care about the economy. Look what it's doing to the stock market. The stock market's going up. So that means, it'll be okay. You know, all the people detained at JFK, well, whatever, but at least the market's up. Well, guess what? What goes up goes down. And if you do not want to see record highs in a market, don't get excited about that. Don't get excited about it. Don't, because it's artificial. And it's going to slam back down, and it's not going to be all that easy to recover from. So you have to really, really be careful where you're putting your energy and not be looking at this totally from a selfish perspective, but look at it globally, because that's what's being demanded. And as soon as the majority of people, okay, on this planet, and you can see all the other countries banding together as well, and everybody has a point with this, as soon as the majority of people switch into a compassionate stance, meaning that they're having empathy for others, that they're managing their frequency and recognizing their frequency. I'm not saying everybody has to do it, and nobody has to be perfect, but when we have that tipping point, the majority, we're actually, to be honest, almost there. We're almost there. A few more, and you're going to see the collapse of all of the catalytic creatures and people and situations. You're going to see the collapse of that. You're going to see things shift in a totally different direction because the masses are online, and that's what's being pushed. Okay, so when I personally get tired and want to quit my job, quit my business, and quit my show, and I ask the guys, you know, what next? They said, you know, go do a show on this because this is what you're missing. This is what people are missing. This is how we can accelerate through this stage. This is a stage. It is a stage. It is not a conclusion. It is a moving through. It is not a wall. Okay? So by investing energy in taking care of that, just recognizing, asking yourself the question, okay, I'm looking at this situation. I don't have any control over it. People are in trouble, you know, our education system, whatever it is that's your thing that's really getting to you. And the question you want to ask is a question that I wish I come up with this myself, but my friend Dane has always used this question, and he taught it to me many years ago, and it always held me in good stead, and that is, what is it that I need to know about this situation that if I knew it would change everything with ease? What is it that I need to know now about this situation that if I knew it would change everything with ease? That question will get your frequency in complete alignment with your higher self immediately. That question pops the wheelie, pops your frequency out of the limitations of your mental mind, your critical thinking, okay, that everybody's using, and really everybody's hitting a dead end. Because guess what? The solution isn't in your mental mind. Your solution doesn't come from your mental mind. Your mental mind is limited to what it's seen before. And since we're in times where we've never seen really before, and people are trying to go back in history and say, oh, well, this happened and that happened and this is going to happen again. Guess what? Frequencies change. It's not going to happen again. Not like that. It's going to happen the way it happens now. Because the frequency doesn't change. We're talking 50 years, whether 100 years, whatever, okay, 300 years, whatever atrocity you're trying to go back to compare. Why are people comparing and contrasting to the past? Because that's what our mental minds do, because our mental minds are limited to what we've seen before or what we've been exposed to before or what's been recorded before. But the key to all of this is you stepping into the power of your energy, you stepping into the power of your frequency and recognizing that when you do that and you open the gateways by asking that question, you are literally putting your mental mind in a timeout, and you're saying, infinite energy, with every infinite potential answer there is, with all of the wisdom that's available in every galaxy, in every direction of time, in every parallel reality, every alternate universe, every scholar, anybody who's ever been incarnate and out of, or not, Jesus, Mary, God, every ascended master, and God itself. What do I need to know about this situation that if I knew it would change everything with ease? It takes you into a whole other category of support and help. And you got to get out of your own way. So when we're talking about energetic self-care, if you are spinning out, analyzing, comparing, contrasting, going through predicting the future based on the past, worst thing you could ever do is predict the future based on the past. You can warn people and say, okay, this is in the past, this has happened as good as a check and balance. But don't damn your present into the past by the focus. And so when we're talking about clearing and raising your frequency, it's the best way to do it. For your body, you're going to take the hot salt bath. For your mental mind, you're going to do the journaling. And for your emotions, you're going to go do something creative, all those kind of things. But for your energy, asking better questions so that you can communicate and consciously connect with that greater part of you that has every single answer, that greater part of you that's connected with everybody else's greater part of them. And remember, I don't care who it is, I don't care how you don't like those beings, every single person on this planet has a higher self just like you. So if their physical self is doing some batshit crazy things, you need to have your people talk to their people, meaning you go into your higher self and let your higher self have a conversation with their higher self. You can send angelic messages on the higher level because everybody is doing their job. Sometimes the job is to be a villain because the greater good is going to benefit at the end of the day. It's going to, when we're going to a throttle, when you have a plane and you're flying a plane, and you're taking that plane off the ground, you get up into the air, you know that pilot is putting on the throttle, and that sucker has got, all of his engines, right? And it's a very pounding, strong sensation, and you're on your way up, right? When you're trying to go from 10,000 feet to 30,000 feet, there's a throttle. You feel the power. There's a certain level of engine, and guess what? There's turbulence. There's boom, 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 right? So as much as people think that we're in a crash going down, because it looks like that on a lot of levels, and we are in certain things. There are certain things dropping away for sure. We are really throttling up, but we're throttling up like a rocket, and we're going at really high speed because it's happening. So many things are happening so fast. Why? Because if we were supposed to have a sustained collapse of humanity, it would actually go a little slower. The difference is when we're going through these big acute shifts, like what we're going through, where every day it's like 10 days, boom, 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 boom. So no stone is being left unturned. Nobody can hide. Nobody can avoid. Nobody can put their head in the sand because something in there is going to affect you some way, somehow. It's going to cut to the chase. It's going to get right to your core, right to your solar plexus. It's going to nail you. And you have to respond, and you have to act, and you have to engage with your emotions, and you have to engage with your mental state of mind, and you have to engage with what is doing to your body. You have to engage with the fear or the whatever energy, the emotions you're conjuring up, you're feeling. You have to. And when you have that, and and you have that happening in this rapid period of time, that's called evolution. It's not collapsing of the universe. It's an evolving. So they're trying to move you through. Because guess what? When the pilot decides, okay, assistant captain, we're going to go from 10,000 square feet I'm in my house, fine, and 10,000 feet to 30,000 feet. Let's go slow. Let's go really, 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 really slow. He won't have power. Right? He'll do gradual. Gradual is different than slow. When he's coming off the ground and going up in a takeoff, okay, he's not. You don't go down the runway, at 10 miles an hour to expect that thing to get off the ground, right? You get that. He says, okay, clear to flight attendants, please have a seat, prepare for takeoff, whatever. And he goes, and right, and then you have thrust and you have power. You have thrust and you have power, and then you fly. And that's what's happening to us now. There's thrust and there's power, and there's thrust and there's power. Now, kind of similar, the guys are kind of giving me a picture of a NASA when they're setting off a rocket. And so the plane analogy is good for one thing, but what about all the stuff that seems to go to the collapsing and falling away? And they said, when you're sending, it depends on how far you're going into orbit. To go up 30,000 feet, yeah, you can, do what we just talked about. But if we have to go and defy gravity, we have to go straight up. And as we go up, things fall away from this machine, right? The fire, you got all this much more from us. You got fire, you got scaffolding, whatever the hell is up there, and then it all falls. Right? That's what you think. I've never done that before, but I guess I'm aggravated. But the things fall away, right? But the rocket gets up in the air, and it goes past the sound barrier, okay? And it makes it out into a whole, into a whole other area, right? That the normal flight can't do because it doesn't have the machinery, the power, and all that stuff, right? And the focus. So the point is that it is really important when it comes to energetic self-care to first recognize what the energy actually is doing, because you don't want to start to manage it for the wrong thing, okay? So when you are looking out into your world, and I don't care if it's your personal world and you're having issues, with your bills or your relationships or your health or whatever, or you're looking at it from, this kind of overarching global thing that's going on, nobody can ignore. People try to be politically correct. Oh, it's gotten so ridiculous that even people who used to were saying that last week, because I see everything on that Facebook, are like, last week when I was saying, you can all our opinion. No, we can't do that anymore because it's crazy, And why? Because they're pushing. It's throttle. It's the guys, it's the energies, it's higher stuff, God, whoever. It's throttle. It's saying, nope, you got to come along now. Nope, can't ignore it. Nope, you can't go into your own little self-promotion about your little business and ignore everybody and put up your little pictures of your cat. It's not cutting it right now. You got to get down in it. You got to and then rise up over it. But from a place of power. We want you to pay attention to your power. Pay attention. And what that means is pay attention to what you're focusing on. And if you're resisting and reacting, catastrophizing, and going to the path, and and getting depressed and wallowing and shutting down and running and all of the gripshot and arguing, you're going to end up you're cannibalizing yourself. But if you step up and say, okay, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So here's an example of doing energetic self-care. You're on Facebook and the news feed is slaughtering. There's every single post worse than the next. You have a heart attack. Your algorithms are all crazy. It's sending you everything because you like a few things and you're not like, whatever, reacting, whatever. And you're looking at this thing and you're like, God, I don't even know where to start. What should we fix? Can anything be fixed? And if you see nothing can be fixed like this second, you start to feel that doom. Well, when you're looking from a frequency perspective, what you say is, okay, I'm going to rise up above this, and I'm going to pick one thing. I'm going to pick one thing, and I'm going to assume that others are picking their thing. And I'm going to be constructive about this one thing. So, personally, I'm not going to have an abortion. I don't have any kids in schools. I'm not a Muslim. There's a lot of things, right, that don't quote unquote apply. But there's certain things that you'll know for you. And I don't care which side of the fence you'll know, because even people who, are all on board, all of a sudden they're losing their health care. Like, wait, I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for the economy, but I didn't sign up for that. No health care, no, oh my God, what's going to happen? Right? You're going to find something. Focus on that. And then you say, okay, now this is, and it will seem like this is physical, but it's frequency. Because when you pick one thing, you're telling your energy, diffuse on these other things. So what does that do? It settles you. Because you're not allowing yourself to be everything on 10, assault. And you pick that one thing or two things, and then you say, okay, what can I do constructively from a place of power? And even if, so it might be call a senator, it might be go propose it might be write a letter, it might be console someone, it might be, just give somebody a pat on the back for being willing to speak their truth online. Anything, all these types of things. Or you can even do something that's not related, but in the name of. So every so often, I go to the church in town, and during the day, the doors are open, and you go in for meditation. And I like to, and this is, when I was a little kid, when I was young, I grew up in Catholic church and everything, so it's kind of a throwback. They don't practice in the formal sense of work. But I always feel like if you go into a place of worship and it's just the energy is there, and this stillness, but there's this power to it. So, periodically when I really kind of feel off, or just when it's kind of really center, I'll go in. So the other day I went in for a few minutes and I lit a candle and I sat down and just took my breath, and I was the only one in there. And a guy came in, a man, older man, his business maybe late 60s, early 70s. And he comes in, he kind of has a little bit of a shuffle in his walk. And as I was watching him walk in, and I've been there many times, and, people come in and out, because it's kind of also a tourist attraction, because it's, San Diego, and it's very pretty little tree. Anyway, he comes in, but I could see, I saw in his field, he came in with a tribe of angels like I had never seen before. I could see light around this guy. And I could tell how troubled and deeply, devoutly faithful he was, but how troubled he was. And I started to hear him chanting here, please give him a message for us. And I'm like, to my guys, I'm like, dude, I'm here for me. I'm off the clock right now. Please don't ask me to go give somebody a message, because I need you guys to hear my message. And they said, no, we need you to speak that. We need you to give him a message. We need you to tell him his prayers and answers. We need you to do. And the place was going to close in like 6 minutes or 10 minutes. And I was like, really? You're killing me here. It's taking me like 5 months to even get across town to come here. Now you're telling me. But, I had to answer back and forth with my guys. But anyway, he goes and he sits down and, he does lights his candle, he says his prayer, and he goes and he kneels down in the pew and stuff. And as I'm trying to meditate, all I'm hearing is, please give him this message. Don't let him leave here without giving him a message. Please give him a message. Please give him. So I get up, and I said, okay. I had been asking, what do I need to know? I've been asking that early question. What do I need to, I said, what do I need to contribute? That's another question. What can I contribute to the situation? And sometimes it's a random act of kindness. It's just being a messenger for somebody. And that registers on that grid of throttle, of getting us up out of this turbulence energy and into, an evolved space, right? So sometimes you're going to be asked to be a messenger. You're going to be used as that messenger for somebody who they're trying to get online, who they're trying to say, we exist. There's more out here than what you think. You are important. You do matter, and you are important. And I could see him quivering because he was praying so hard. And so I advanced the ship on my own meditation. I got up, and it was time to go in because the guy was starting to lock up the other guy. So I went over to the guy, and I tapped his arm because he was kind of in his prayer, and I said, I speak to angels, and I have a message for you, and that message is that your prayers have been heard and answered. And when you came in here, I saw this huge tribe of angels with you, and I don't know what you're going through, but guess what? You're going to get out of that. And he, you wonder what a total stranger is going to do. He's going to hold up there. What? He's nuts? He doesn't even know the saying. And he looked at me, and his face, he looked at the statue of Jesus, and he looked back at me, and his face was like, oh. And he just started to shake, and he started to cry, and he's like, thank you so much. And you could just see the transition in him. God bless you. And I walked out. I didn't ask what's going on, I didn't try to solve it. I didn't go into my mental health. No, it was just deliver the message. Because what I was used at that point was an instrument. And if that energy came through me to him, and it connected, and I knew it connected because he got so choked up, and he knew. He knew his prayer was he was okay. He was going to be okay, whatever was going on. And I walked out, and I go, probably never see him again. But the point is that I was in a state of allowance to be used as an instrument. And if you, as advanced light workers and people who care about your energy and about the energy of situation, which can change in an instant, miracles can happen in an instant. Really bad situations can dissolve. But we have to get out of the physicality of it, of the trying to ratchet, control it, and use our old tools that were like Little House on the Prairie, covered wagon level of frequency in this, Star Trek, Star Wars level of frequency. We have to. There's no turning back. So managing your frequency and your energetic self-care is about listening. And the reason why I could be used as an instrument is because I listened. And I didn't override what I was getting. And I didn't sit and wonder if it was right and wonder what, I was aggravated because I wanted for myself because, I do all, I'm a professional at this, blah, blah, so I have this kind of rapport and banter with my guys. But I still honored it. Because I kept saying, well, what can I do to shift my joy? What can I do to let us use yours and nothing? And I was asking the same thing today. They said, go on that show and, do a show and talk about this. That's how you can help. That's how you can shift. So is it, making the Congress do this or that? No. Me calling the senators, yeah, that's valuable. But for me, you're going to have your own assignment. And it's time. It's time for you to get quiet. That's part of your energetic self-care, to give yourself space to get quiet so that for your personal use, your inner voice can be amplified, because that's what we're trying to get online as we throttle forward. That's the difference between 10,000 feet and 30,000 feet, is that everybody is in connection with their inner voice, and they're finding they're powerful within themselves. And they don't need demigods and heroes and money and this and that to define who they are. Okay? When your personal definition comes from within, we won't need these kind of catalysts at these levels, this proportion. So if you want to see it settle down, get it settled within you, and your circumstances will start to reflect the softening. I'm not saying it's going to be overnight, but I'm also not saying, but it also doesn't have to be cataclysmic on any stretch of imagination, nor will it be. Not to the farthest extreme that people kind of let their mind go to. Okay, so couple of things you can do for this, energetic self-care. Okay, is to recognize too that other people, please do not try to go and teach this in the sense of, start to criticize, because a lot of times people hear these concepts and then they start to try to preach it to other people, but they haven't used it themselves. You need to go into yourself first and see it actually work for you. Okay? How do you pop a wheel in your frequency? I'll give you, a tip. One thing is to deliberately stop. Take a breath. Energetic communication, information travels on the breath. So the molecules of oxygen actually carry the words from spirit. So the more you breathe, that's why deep breathing is involved in every modality, yoga, tai chi, all these things, meditation. The breath carries the information. So by you breathing deeply, you are opening up your access to the information on a frequency level. The other thing is drinking a lot of water. Up your water intake right now. Drink, because you're talking like I am. Have a glass of water next to you. Have a fountain at your desk. If you're, in a warm climate like I am, get out to the ocean. The more, or a lake or something. I know it's the dead of winter, snowstorms and all that kind of stuff, so clearly the people on the East Coast can't do that. But get yourself some kind of water. If you can't do that, get yourself a sound machine. There are apps with sound. You can go on YouTube and get ocean waves, and you get 2-hour loop and put it on your phone and listen to that. Put it on the background. You're doing your writing, you're working during the day. Have some sort of, you can listen to rainfall, listen to the ocean waves, and it'll still register in your body and your frequency as a symbolic representation of an amplifier, and it will amplify. Okay? So it's important that you're managing and you're paying attention and asking questions. What I need to know most right now. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We're setting it up for oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about the worst case scenario. That's not good because the guys are like, well, we can't go against your free will. You're thinking about the worst case thing. Well, okay, I would say you're kind of screwed. Yeah, I wish you go the other direction. Hey, why don't you go to listen to Mari's show? We get you kind of going in this direction. So even if you're a little concerned, you're not killing yourself over here, right? So what you want to do is make a very deliberate and conscious decision from a place of power. I know the circumstances you're reading out right now is crazy because I've been the tail of the kite just like everybody else, and it's perfectly fine. No judgment. Don't judge yourself for it. You just move forward in a different way. And you want to say, I'm looking at this situation. I'm observing this situation. Looking at it and observing it are two different things, actually. And this is also part of energetic self-care. I teach all of this with my light leader people, my clients, my programs in depth, and it's amazing what's been coming up. But you want to observe, situations as opposed to look at. Because when you look at something, you start to judge it. When you observe it, you get awareness about various things. Like, that feels like a lie over there. There might be an interesting opening over here. Okay, how am I feeling about this? Okay, how am I going to choose to, is this something that I'm going to choose to participate in, or is this something I'm going to pass on and choose to participate in something else? Okay, now, remember, if you try to take all of it on, you will wipe yourself out. It is really important to pick your battle. And that cliche has never been more powerful than it is now. All right? And also pick your joy, because joy is the best cleanser for energetic self-care. So it's you figure out what's joyful for you. And a lot of people feel guilty about trying to have joy right now, but don't, because the joy is part of the problem. It will help to get us to that altitude. The more that you can find a pocket of joy, that might be stopping to, color in an adult coloring book, or it might be to take a walk, or it might be to cook a really nice meal for yourself, or it might be to say, you know what, I think I will get a little bouquet of flowers, kind of go, just giving me hope, giving me a sense of connection to myself. It might be writing a story, or doing something creative, singing, dancing. It might be, going in martial arts or going to the gym. Something that connects, that where you feel like it's a little, it's just about you. It's just about you. Okay? Don't do it from, I got to get this done, I got to get to the gym, I got to get off. Don't add it in like that. Use your frequency to flavor what you're doing. Okay? Settle down and focus and stay very present. When we're talking about energetic self-care, the other thing that's extremely important, and it works like a charm, is to stay in this moment. And that's something else that all of this craziness is teaching us, because you can't, last week it was women's marches, this week the Muslims were stuck in JFK, the education lady, and oh God, the guy, the Antichrist, the guy, who knows? Every kid, And last week's things don't even, because you can't even, Mary Tyler Moore died, and that lasted for 12 minutes. And then okay, well, bye. Okay, anyway, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So you have to pick. And then for everything that you pick, metabolize, let's say. You say, okay, you know what, this abortion thing, or this gay lesbian thing, or this, whatever that thing is, my health care, that's my thing. For every one of those that you pick two things that are good for yourself to do. So if you make a call to the Senate, then you get two things for yourself. Get some flowers. Get a nice latte. Get the caramel macchiato instead of the black coffee today. Do something nice for yourself, whatever that is, so that you're registering your frequency, that you're in your power, that you can find joy even in the worst of adversities or confusion or chaos or anxiety or the unknown, and you are participating and no longer a victim of circumstance. You are actively participating in your personal, energetic empowerment by assisting the throttling forward. Because when you throttle yourself forward, everybody, you're carrying your own weight. And then there is no need for catalysts to push the Senate, and these people can't do this stuff by themselves. Okay? All right, we have a few minutes left, and I know we have some questions. So if you want to ask a question, it's 347-215-9485. It's 347-215-9485. And we are going to take Kate in Massachusetts. Kate is still there.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking my call. I have just been going through a difficult time. My father passed away last month on the solstice, and since then I've just been so overwhelmed. I'm his only child, and so he left 20 years of unopened mail and papers and so many accounts and debt and things like that. So it's feeling like I had so much to do in my own life, and then this is on top of that, all of that stuff. And I just feel just exhausted and run down, and it's just feeling overwhelming at the moment, never ending.
Yeah. So what's your question?
Well, just how I can help my energy and try to, just keep looking at the bigger picture and keep focused on the bigger picture of it instead of being overwhelmed with all the little tasks.
Okay, so the first thing is there's two things that I would suggest. First is definitely recognize that is overwhelming. It's legitimately in the physical world. That's, it's overwhelming. I would suggest just totally on a physical level. The first thing I heard your angel say is have her delegate. So if you go on Fiverr, FIDERR.com, you can hire a VA, a virtual assistant, to help you with some paperwork, those kinds of things. And they're very inexpensive. You can work that out. But I highly suggest that you get someone who can support you. And there's people who help with estates and that type of thing. So I would do a Google search and see what you can do about just getting some basic, you could even get a high school student, something, but, basic help to help you to get through the genuine task of, picking up somebody's life and sorting it out, after they pass away. So that's one. So on the physical side, you're absolutely overwhelmed, so you have to get help. So that's one thing. But from a frequency side, just know that he's still around, and there are ways to communicate with him. If you have that kind of relationship where you want to continue to communicate with him, you can use journaling for that, called automatic writing. And even if you don't want to communicate with him per se, you can, just doing the journaling, but with your handwriting, not typing. But with your hand, what it does is it connects the above energy, which is the energetic frequencies, through your physical body. It connects the two. So your physical body is fortified with the energy, okay? Because your hand, the strokes of your hand actually engage channeling energy when you're journaling, which is why it's such a really good thing to do. So I would suggest my clients 3 pages a day in the journal, and that will help to balance. Because what's happening is you have to give your energy an outlet for expression.
Mm.
And that's what brings you back into frequency balance. Because if you don't, what you do is you wall up, right? Because you're stressed out over all the physical stuff you have to do. You're clearly a month out. You're deep in the grieving process. Then you have, resentment because you didn't pay this and you did that and you left it all with you and whatever, and you're the only person and blah, blah, blah. Then you have guilt about the resentment because he's gone. That, you just metabolize your whole childhood with everything you go through. You've got layers and layers and layers. But the journaling will help because on one of those pages, I would just complain. On one of the 3 pages, just complain. Let it be the bitch and moan page. You got to be kidding me. How could you read this? What are you crazy? All these types of things. The second page is how you personally feel. This makes me feel really overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. The third page is, okay, now that I've gotten all that out, and that's when your mental mind has gotten to say. And then you're going to see that you say, okay, what do I need then at the top of the third page, right? What do I need to know the most right now? What do I need to know that if I knew it would change everything with ease? Write that out. And then write this last page with just free associating. Whatever comes to mind. You might get a hunch, you might get a whole download of information, but it's an invitation for your frequency to take over. Okay? So page 1 is bitch and moan. Page 2 is talk about your feelings. Page 3 is the page of allowance. How do I allow the frequency to support me in the best way possible? Don't let your mental mind try to say, oh, Mark, I have to do it this way, and then my frequency will be clean, because that's then a mental process. It's not a frequency process. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. That's so helpful. Yeah. Thank you.
For you, much. I would definitely sleep with a sound machine. I would definitely sleep with ocean waves or, rain, whatever. What part of the country do you live in? You're in New York?
Right. Yeah. No, right now I'm on a little island called Nantucket dealing with his house and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really beautiful in the summer, but the energy is very dark in the winter. The people that are here in the winter, it's a strange thing, and it's right by the road, so it's just like so much traffic, and I have to wear earplugs when I sleep and just try. I've been having trouble sleeping.
That's probably why. So then definitely listen to the ocean waves in your ears, because you're already on an island. So the energy is there. It's just that you're not accessing it because you're bracing, with some of the what do they call it, noise pollution around you. But so just counterbalance that, because the frequency of the water is already there, but you're not engaging it. You're resisting so much that you're not getting the power that's there. And it's very powerful. Even in the winter, I've been there. I know that whole area. So So just access the energy that's available to you. You should be okay. The other thing that they're just saying too is Tai Chi or some sort of dance, some sort of movement to sort of, because your body, you're kind of like, because it's cold, you're bracing a lot. That's what your angel is saying. She's just bracing her energy. So then remember, when you brace, everything gets stand up. So if you're bracing against a person, you're bracing against a circumstance, that stops your love, your money, your health. You're bracing because you're bracing energy. You're putting up boulders in your energy field, right? So when you give the energy a place to flow to, like you're listening to the sound machine, you're doing some journaling. The journaling for you will help because your expression is jammed up because you're not allowing it, because you're feeling all those mental things around it, right? So as you Give yourself an outlet for expression. You're taking your power back. You're giving an invitation to the energy to support you, to your higher self to communicate with you, and allow yourself to sort of lean into that great ocean energy that you have there on that island, that you should be on your way. All right?
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that advice. It's so helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good. Well, enjoy your night. Good luck with everything. Take good care. Thanks for calling in. Okay, everybody. Actually, I think that's it. That's it for today. Pay attention. Focus. Focus, focus, focus. Okay? If you want to talk to me one-on-one, you can go on the website at theahaway.com. You can grab a reading, and we can, get you on the other side of the frequencies and all of this drama and trauma and stuff. But remember, it's circumstantial right now, and we are actually heading in a much better direction. So join in, help everybody throttle in a positive way, and we'll be on the other side of this in record time. All right, everybody, have a great night. Take care.